If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Kempire is brought to you by
The Kempire After Dark is back, but it's now the villain era. Yes, we are coming to Philadelphia on July 10th at City Winery. Then we're hitting Atlanta on August 5th, DC on August 22nd, then back here in New York City on September 12th. All shows have meet and greets, but a lot of people asking, what can we expect from the Kempire After Dark, the villain era? Well, Kempire After Dark, if you came to those shows, were already a night of hot topics, spilling tea, seeing a whole other side of me. So you can only imagine what the villain era is going to bring out. I'm so excited to bring to you a night of not just hot topics, but us recapping some of your favorite shows from Real Housewives of Atlanta to Real Housewives of Miami, but also talking about Tyler Perry, The Diddler, and so much more. Can't wait to see all of you in Philly, Atlanta, DC, and New York. The New York City show has a special live stream option, so even if you're coming to these shows or if you're not because you're in another city, that is your option. I'll see you guys this summer in a city near you.
You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. I am pre-recording our Real Housewives of Miami recap. You're welcome, because I said I was not going to pre-record it, and because I said I was going to give my first thoughts to our Philly crowd. Philly, don't forget, tonight is the night. I'm in your city for the Kempire After Dark, the villain era. This is the kickoff to our summer tour. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Real Housewives of Miami, Real Housewives of Atlanta, but also talking about The Diddler. And I'm going to include some things that you guys have been asking. Kempire, are you watching Love Hotel? Kempire, are you watching Next Gen NYC? I'm leaving it for our live audiences. I will share my thoughts with you guys in person. Tickets are still available for our Philadelphia show. Get your tickets today in the description. Why not? Why not go out on a limb? And if you're scared to come out by yourself, a lot of our folks come out on their own with themselves and they meet with our community. It is a safe space to come on your own. So if you've been thinking about it, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to come out on my own, and I don't know if I feel like, come on out. Come on out, get your tickets today. And don't forget, I'm coming to Atlanta August 5th. Then I'm in DC on August 22nd. They've changed the location. They double booked us, so they're moving us to Pearl Street Warehouse, which is just across the street. Not a big deal. Go get your tickets for DC. That's going to be in the prime of summer, the last hurrah for the summer. Then we're back in New York City on September 12th at the Green Room 42 yet again. Go get your tickets for that. There's a live stream option exclusively for that show. So even if you're coming to the other shows, what I say in Philly tonight won't be what I say in New York City on September 12th. We will be talking probably about other things. I don't even know if we'll even be talking about Diddy come September, because his sentencing date is not until October at this particular point. Anyway, I said a mouthful, but you know what's happening? Real Housewives of Miami. And as you know, we've loved Real Housewives of Miami. They've had a very strong season after season since their reboot. Even this season, despite what's happening between Julia and Guerdy, I'm not loving that. It's honestly alienating the fans. And there are people that speculate that this was drummed up between Julia and Guerdy for a storyline. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I really believe that. I do believe Julia is fighting for her life to keep her job. But I also understand that a lot of you have not loved Guerdy over the years. I haven't either. I've said that. I'm very transparent. She's not been my favorite, but I also believe that all of these women make Miami what it is, except Julia. I honestly have always said, go rewind the tape. Go back to my Real Housewives of Miami recaps from the beginning of this reboot. I was like, I'm not connecting with her. The only time I really kind of connected with her, besides when I was trying her preserves at BravoCon, just saying, the only time I connected with her was when she was talking more about her story with her baby and things like that. But that was at the reunion at the end of that first season. I was just like, okay, that's great. So now the next season, it's what? And also, I don't love, and this is why people say that, Black women are not safe on the Bravo network. I saw Watch What Happens Live, at least the first few minutes, and them talking about the fight between Julia and Guerdy, and Stephanie saying, Guerdy needs to just let it go, let it go. What we've watched on this show, this is what people are talking about, the microaggressions when Black people are on these shows or Black women are on these shows. And I know some of you get uncomfortable when people talk about these things, but you should really understand why you're getting uncomfortable. You need to understand that. You need to figure out why you're uncomfortable when we're bringing up clear microaggressions. If we as a society did not realize that, because, there were those people like racism no longer exists. Really? Especially now in 2025 when you see what we're watching. And I'm not even just talking about what's on reality television. I'm just talking about the world in general. So I just don't like the way that it was handled on Watch What Happens Live, how the people are downplaying it in regards to them wanting Guerdy to change her personality because she's so over the top. And yes, Guerdy is over the top, but every single one of these women are over the top. Every single one of these women are over the top, and that's why they were casted, because they had the personality that they had. But we draw the line when it comes to Guerdy. Again, a microaggression. And I'm not saying that Guerdy might not have this big personality, and sometimes it could be like, oh my gosh. I've heard that. I've heard that from other housewives. Oh. It's not Kempire After Dark. Okay? So I understand that, yeah, she could be over the top, but each and every one of you are the same, if not worse. Just saying. It might be something else going on. Maybe you just don't like her. I'd much rather you say that. And then instead of saying, she needs to change her personality. Why does she need to change for you? Why? So I didn't love how it was handled, how Stephanie was sort of downplaying and she, Guerdy holds a grudge. She needs to just move on. It's hard to move on after someone. It's one thing if someone insults you or says something to you that you don't like, or, but it's another thing when someone splashes you with water. And because based on what we saw in this week's episode, what we're seeing in this week's episode are more things that were said to Guerdy from the other women. Hence why Guerdy said that she felt like it was a gang up. So it felt like, and I'm speaking based on my observation and what I'm gathering on an edited show. I always emphasize that to you guys. We're watching an edited show because, as you saw, some of that context was left out. So some of you probably were sort of like, Guerdy's overreacting. However, when you see, especially when people are talking about how the other women did not react and didn't do anything, we later see that it was even much worse than what we thought. They all were attacking Guerdy, talking about Guerdy and how Guerdy was handling, while Guerdy's sitting there drenched in water that Julia threw on her. And Julia tried to downplay their friendship, saying we were not friends, we were acquaintances. Literally, Dr. Nicole just said on her podcast with Dr. Tiffany that she talked about the people that she was close with, and she was like, oh yeah, and Julia. And I'm assuming when she says she was close with Julia, all of these women were hanging out. Julia was best friends with Adriana. Adriana hangs out with Dr. Nicole and Guerdy. Guerdy hangs out with... So all of them were hanging out. So for her to say that in front of these women, we were just acquaintances. And maybe she said that because she was hurt because Guerdy brought up her facelift. But after you drench me, I know I'm jumping ahead, but I don't care. This is my recap. If you want chronological order, go watch the episode. I'm kidding. I'm recording this late, okay? Late at night for you guys so that you have a recap. And then I froze. Please hold. And I'm keeping my fourth wall in because I don't have time to sit around and edit that out. So if it paused for you guys for multiple minutes, you'll be strong. The audio still worked, okay? Let me still make sure that look, I'm recording this late at night so that you guys can have this for Thursday while I'm traveling to Philadelphia for our live show tonight, okay? All right. As you can see, I'm crabby because I'm recording this late at night. I had to watch the episode, take notes, and here I am. It's okay. Whoa, Kempire. Whatever. All right. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah, I was jumping all around in regards to this. So let me just go back and start from the beginning because Alexia wants to have a narcissist party. She doesn't even realize that she's a narcissist. And this is such a perfect example of narcissism. The narcissist has no idea and always making themselves the victim. So she wants to throw this narcissist party for the women so that she can point out how they are narcissists. So she met this guy, Daniel, who's a self-help expert that she met on social media. And there are a ton of social media experts. Be wary. I think it's really important. I'm not saying anything about Daniel. I don't know his program. I've never heard of him a day in my life. But based on what Stephanie said on Watch What Happens Live, my vibe was on point. Because she said, I met him in person and something was off. So I was like, oh, okay, so it wasn't just me. So Alexia says, she liked his perspectives and she liked that it was a male point of view. As I said before, be wary of these self-help gurus on social media. Honestly, just be wary. I don't care that he wrote 3 books, especially in this day and age where you can self-publish. I could have wrote 3 books too, okay? Doesn't mean that there's anything there. There's something off about his energy. Stephanie's like, he speaks too slow. I don't even care about you speaking too slow. It's more so about everything that they were discussing. I didn't get any aha moments. Again, we're watching an edited show. It could be the way they edited it. I don't think so. Based off what Stephanie said, I was like, oh, so my vibe on him was correct. Something felt off about him. I don't know what it is. I didn't feel like he said anything to Alexia in that conversation that felt like, oh, I completely get why she decided to enlist him. We also have to keep in mind, up until recently, Alexia was still hooking up with Todd. So whatever this guy was doing wasn't helping. And apparently he's throwing this part. I think at the end of the day, based on him bringing up, I wrote 3 books and I've provide services to over 350 people. He wanted to be on a reality show. He wanted to promote his services. As I said before, be wary who your gurus are, okay, on social media, especially in this day and age where there are so many cults. I'm not saying that's what he is, but I'm just saying, just be wary of where you're getting your information from. And if someone doesn't, vibe is off, I could, God forbid, we fast forward. Remember the TikTok cult? We did a whole recap about the whole TikTok cult situation. That dance cult? Whatever happened with that? Still there, right? Okay. Those things are scary to me. That's why I stay in my house. Lock the door, close the blinds, peep out like, is it safe to come outside? Anyway, so Daniel seemed off for me from the jump. The way he looked at Alexia, the way he spoke, then he had to promote that I've written 3 books. They even showed the books. So this was like great promotion for him. But again, be wary where you get your information from and who you call your guru. I wasn't inspired just from that little moment. I thought, and again, it was a moment in time. It was just a screenshot of him and what he could provide. But if you can't capture me in the first couple of minutes, then, sir, it's a wrap. I'm not interested. I don't care what you're talking about. But that's me, okay? That's me. You all do what you will. Maybe some of you have been following him for a long time. Let me know in the comment section or the live chat. Maybe you are. Look, I don't know. All right. Moving on. Okay. So she meets up with him. They talk about that, talk about hosting this party. Jody and Lisa at home. I said this before, and look, I hate the fact that I feel like I'm coming at Lisa so much this season because I feel like for the most part, I tolerated Lisa. I've called out Lisa when necessary, but for the most part, she's done no harm. And honestly, she's really been there for like people like Gertie and Adriana during the season. So it's sort of like, again, this is why people talk about Real Housewives being more of alliances than friendships. But for the most part, I've been like, okay, Lisa's cool, whatever. And you can see even on social media that Lisa and Guerdy and Adriana are sort of like together as a group when it comes to the season. So in this particular scene, although short, what stood out to me is that Jody's involved in everything. And this is what Larsa was talking about. And at first I was sort of like, okay, Larsa might be reaching because like, what does Lisa have that Jody wants? Because again, it looks like Jody is successful on his own. He was paying half her rent. But when I see this scene with Jody and Lisa, and Lisa's talking about the arrangement in her marriage settlement agreement, her MSA, that what she's supposed to get this land, and Lenny's supposed to build this house. So she's trying to explain it, and Jody is chiming in because he's fully aware of what the agreement is. And I get it on some level. If you're in a relationship, your partner is going to probably know a little bit more about these things because she probably doesn't even understand what she signed off on. But it did feel a little like, gosh, you moved from being with Lenny for 15 years and now you're with Jody, and Jody's involved in every aspect of your life, your businesses, your marriage settlement agreement. Even during her confessional, he's chiming in, no, that's not what it means. Don't say that. So it does feel a little intrusive. It does feel a little, and I'm not saying that Jody is doing anything wrong. It feels as if instead of learning something from what she just went through, that she could literally, if she didn't have Jody, she would have been, I don't know if I want to say she would have been on the street. But basically in her mind, like Lisa left home at a young age. Like Lisa should be very well versed on how to survive, and maybe she is, but maybe she's just gotten lazy because she was with Lenny for so long and everything was taken care of, and she did not want to go back to the life she had when she left home at 16. I can understand that, but I also feel like that's dumb. I'm not calling her dumb. I just feel like that behavior is dumb, especially when you're raising young children that are looking at you. Mom ran from one relationship and now she's depending on this other guy that's making all these decisions for her. So I kind of get, I kind of get where Larsa was coming from, because when you look at how Larsa's divorce went, Larsa, for the most part, seems like she came out on the other end of that doing quite well. Maybe. I don't, but she seemed like she did fine. So we get to see that scene. Stephanie meets up with Larsa and Kiki. Okay. How are we feeling about Stephanie? I have an open mind and open heart. For me, I feel like she's fitting in right with this group. She doesn't dress like them, which is okay. Like, I don't want her to start next season all of a sudden because everyone has been talking about how conservative she dresses. Like, I don't want Stephanie, if you watch this, because sometimes the housewives, especially the newbies, end up watching. If you watch this, don't change. Don't let the Bravo universe or, what people are saying in these recaps about your dress change you. If that's who you are, that's who you are. Being authentic is what's going to make people like you at the end of the day. They may not love your fashion, but they be like, that's who she is and she owns it and she doesn't care. She literally talked about being like old fashioned in comparison to her husband, which we'll get to, because I think I like the husband. I don't know. I know there are rumors, but y'all just came in the rumors. I don't know if there's any truth to the rumors, okay? That's a very easy rumor to run with, because I believe someone said that about, who was it? Oh, what y'all said about Sai on Real Housewives of New York. She ended up coming and saying that that's absolutely not true. But you know what Reddit and all these other folks end up doing online? They just put something out there and then it's like it gains legs. But where is the hard proof? I don't know if there is hard proof. Maybe there is. And maybe this is the one time where Reddit is correct. Oh, Lord, Reddit. Okay. So Stephanie meets up with Larsa and Kiki at her Shoma Bazaar. So this is, again, showing the lap of luxury and what's going on in her life. And remember last week I kind of said, I was like, I'm not sure if she really is involved the way that she wants to present. Just because I wasn't convinced. Again, we only got a little smidge of her life. But the more she's like showing her businesses off, I'm like, oh, it seems as if she really knows what she's doing and knows what she's talking about. And she's also the president of their family business, like this huge multi-million-dollar business she's the president of. And she seems like she knows what she's doing. Again, that could just be TV magic. I don't know. So she shows off Shoma Bazaar, which is fantastic. This is probably why her and her husband agreed to do this, because now you have a platform, a multi-million-dollar real estate agency. You don't have to sign the Bethany clause in regards to this, because this business has been established for a very long time. Now you get to show off your business basically for free. I'm sure she's not getting paid a lot to be on the show, but at the end of the day, she probably doesn't care. And I think she's kind of like me. Scorpios and Tauruses are very similar in a lot of ways. Part of me is sort of like, I still don't know if I would want to risk my marriage for reality television. And I say risk is because a lot of people feel like when you come on reality television, it ruins your relationship. I mean, I don't know. I don't wish that on anyone, but that's the only downside of being on this show that I'm a little concerned for when it comes to their relationship. But at the end of the day, it also helps this business. Now she's taking the girls to the Shoma Bazaar. Okay, so we learned that she's the president of the Shoma Group. Stephanie talks about her parents, always being around her parents. As we saw in her first episode, she flew to Orlando to pick up her dog. She's very close with her parents. Her mom is always calling her throughout the day, so her mom calls her while she's out with Kiki and Larsa. Kiki talks and gives an update on what's going on with her. This is why I say the friend doves are very much established. I have to say this season, though, I know it's only 5 episodes in, we're not getting a lot with Adriana. We're getting more with Kiki, but again, Kiki has stuff going on. I don't know what's going on with Adriana, but I'm sort of like, I don't believe the Amari relationship. Even Alexia was like, and her fake boyfriends and stuff like that. So I'm sort of like, I think that she wanted to have some sort of storyline, and that's why. Look, if she's just going to be a friend of the show, I don't feel like she needs the pressure to do any of that stuff. I'm sure you're doing other stuff, Adriana. Maybe you need to start fostering more relationships with other women in the group. And I'm not talking about Marisol and Alexia. I really do like Adriana on the show. Adriana, as Carlos would say, is probably one of those people that's a force multiplier. Like, she's going to push when necessary. So they're trying to ice her out because they're probably scared that she knows where the bodies are buried for a lot of them. Just saying. All right. So Kiki gives an update on her new 4-year-old brother. I thought he was 3, but maybe she forgot. She updates him on that. Then Stephanie opens up about how she hasn't talked to her twin sisters. And she says it's because they ended up working for her. Very similar to the Britt Edie story. A couple of people had similar family drama, but people have family drama. So she talks about falling out with her sisters because they ended up working with her, and mixing business and family caused an issue. And she says she hasn't spoken to them in 3 years. Her twin sisters. But it seems like the twin sisters are also alienated from the parents. Based on how she was describing it, I'm not sure. It was hard to understand because then they show after the scene that the women, because I almost forgot, we have to remember when this was filmed. Now we're back into hurricane season. So they're showing all the women preparing for the hurricane. It ended up not being too bad in Miami. That's the only downside of living in Florida is hurricane season. I'm like, because you just never know. The hurricanes can hit any part of Florida at this particular point, and it does. Wishing you guys luck this hurricane season. I'm wishing us all luck because we're on the East Coast too. I mean, Hurricane Sandy was a long time ago, and when it hit us in New York City, it was a superstorm. So they didn't even consider it a hurricane. So, but we're still sort of like, you can get some bad weather. So, yeah. So wishing us all luck during hurricane season. So we see that. But before we even get to the scene where everyone's preparing, during the conversation with Stephanie and Larsa and Kiki, Stephanie brings up Lisa's comment about the jets and the yachts and things like that, and how she was sort of like, that was weird. It is a weird comment. It is a shallow comment, but I'm not surprised by the comment. And as you saw at the end of this episode, Lisa and Stephanie get into it. We'll talk about it in a second. So then they move to showing everyone preparing for the hurricane. We're at Marisol's house. Marisol's got her liquor. She's got her flowers. She's ready for the hurricane. Okay. Turns out the hurricane wasn't that bad. The next day, I'm guessing, Gertie and Alexia meet up for lunch. And this lunch, and we have to remember, when Gertie came on the show, it was she came through Alexia, and she was helping Alexia plan her wedding to Todd. But then it was like almost immediately that they had a falling out over, the planning and things like that. So Gertie tells Alexia that she feels misunderstood by the group. And this is when we start seeing the never-before-seen scenes from Marisol's wedding celebration, where the ladies, Larsa had an issue with Gertie. Marisol's jumping in. Alexia, at one particular point, said that Gertie can get loud And I don't think they see themselves. All of them get loud. All of them are big, exaggerated personalities. And like I said, I've heard that Gertie, can be a lot. However, when I look at this cast, every single one of you can be a lot and annoying. The only person, I said this last week, the only person that I find not to be annoying, she's no longer on the cast. That was Dr. Nicole. And Dr. Nicole's a Virgo. You know how I felt about Virgos. But I have to say, she didn't annoy me on the show. Oh my gosh, did you guys see the new photo of Dr. Nicole and her babies? She has the cutest kids ever. Those kids look more so like her than they do Anthony. And I'm not saying that to say anything against Anthony, but those kids, they're light brown hair, and they have the best olive, like brown skin. Oh, and she has a little bit more olive brown skin than he does. I guess sort of. It's hard to tell. They got tans and tanner. But they're so adorable. And her daughter, oh, they're so cute. Still not married. But I don't care if they get married or not. Apparently, it's not important to them, but they are engaged. So, I mean, if Dr. Nicole does decide to actually get married, I hope she does it on the show because it's going to be a big affair. That's the one thing I think people miss, but what they like about Stephanie. But I have to say, the two personalities, Stephanie and Dr. Nicole, I can actually see them getting along. I don't think Dr. Nicole is as stuffy as Stephanie, but I can see them getting along. Can't you? I think a lot of people were sort of like, oh, maybe that's why she decided not to come back. I think that could be motivation. Maybe she didn't want the drama, but the other motivation, which we didn't talk about, or maybe we did, I can't remember what we've talked about over the last 4 episodes, was the fact that Dr. Nicole said that Marisol, she didn't say Marisol's name, but she alluded. It was very basic because she said that this person did it so that they could be upgraded to a housewife, and they never were. And you recall that Alexia called her own friend out, Marisol, and said that she married, in quotes, married Steve in order to be upgraded to a full-time housewife, and they still didn't do it. So what does that say? And I like Marisol. Y'all know I've liked Marisol, but I haven't liked some of the things that Marisol has said in recent weeks and things that we found out, like what Dr. Nicole saying that Marisol hired a private investigator that was following both Anthony and her. First of all, some people were downplaying, this is what housewives do. No, it's not. Stop trying to normalize this weirdo behavior. Like, this is where these shows become toxic and go too far. And now I understood why Dr. Nicole was just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. It becomes anxiety that people are following you. A random man is following a woman. I'm assuming that it was a man, a private investigator, was following them. Like, who wants that sort of energy? And it's not even one of your other housewives. It's a friend that's trying to elevate her status on the show. It's desperate. It's weird. Honestly, you should be reprimanded for something like that. If I'm being, I don't know if she can prove it, but I think you should be reprimanded for something like that. I think that's weirdo behavior. So, and yes, I know they've been accused of doing other stuff, specifically Marisol. That's weird. But like I said, I enjoy Marisol on the show. But the desperation to be full-time and they still didn't make you full-time, girl, that's sad. I already told you what I think about that relationship. At the end of the day, I don't care. Companionship is companionship. But obviously, they don't think you're interesting enough to make you full-time. And I don't know what that is. I mean, that'd be a great question to ask production or Andy Cohen at BravoCon if y'all are going. If there's a Real Housewives of Miami left, I think it will be. I mean, in regards to, I think I could definitely see them putting Miami on pause, though. The ratings are not doing better. I think they should move Real Housewives of Miami to after Real Housewives of Orange County because they need that push. I don't know why people aren't watching. It doesn't make sense to me because the show is good. The show is interesting, at least to me. And for the most part, what I've seen people say on social media, they're enjoying the season. But I think they need a better push because there was a season, maybe last season, where they were right after Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and the ratings were doing far better. I think the lack of promotion, being maybe on the wrong night where people don't even know that it's on, that might be the problem. And I saw that Chanel Ayan from Real Housewives of Dubai commented, and what did she says? Oh, I forgot what her exact comment, but she was being snarky in regards to Real Housewives of Dubai and their ratings versus Real Housewives of Miami. But let me just say this, Chanel. Real Housewives of Miami still 10 times better than Real Housewives of Dubai, period. Sorry. I'm going to be honest. And for the people that keep saying bring back Real Housewives of Dubai, I'm like, why? Why? It wasn't that great. It was decent. I was excited for it, but it wasn't that great. A lot of the people on that cast became toxic, and I already knew if they had gotten to season 3, it would have gotten gross in regards to the toxicity behind the scenes with some of those housewives. Maybe if they made some changes, it would have made an improvement, but some of those housewives were dangerous, in my opinion. I was already seeing the writing on the wall, and I was like, And if you came to any of my live shows, you know exactly what I'm talking about. See, this is why you need to come to a live show. Guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. Don't forget, you can also hear our live recaps and special episodes. I put out a special episode yesterday on the podcast, a Hot Topics episode. So be sure to check that out if you haven't checked it out already. Okay? All right. Let's move on, just because there's so much more to go. And as I said to you before, this is pre-recorded. I am in Philadelphia tonight. Go get your tickets. If you're watching this and you want some last minute tickets, go get your tickets. I'll be in Philadelphia, and then we're coming to Atlanta August 5th. Then I'll be in DC on August 22nd. And then we're back in New York City on September 12th. I don't know why I did this to myself, because now it's sort of eaten up my summer. Went from covering Diddy for 2 months, not being able to vacation. Now I'm on a summer tour. Can't really go anywhere else. So, Kempire. It's all right. Feel sorry for me. Shout out to our Kings Guard. Shout out to our channel members. Become a member today at TeamKempire.com/join. All right. Let's move on. So Gertie and Alexia have this lunch, and again, this is where we see never before seen footage in regards to the women. Basically, I have to say, attacking Gertie in that moment as she's sitting there drenched in water. But okay. So Alexia again still says to Gertie that, that it's all in Gertie's mind, and Gertie can be defensive. Very just sort of like just gaslighting Gertie. And like I said, I don't think Gertie's necessarily innocent, but that behavior that we saw, the fact that Julia splashed her the way that she did, and then you guys are still, at this particular point, everyone should apologize to Gertie. Not just Julia. Everyone there that allowed that to happen and didn't check on Gertie should apologize. And people have said it before. If the tables were reversed and it happened to someone else, all these women probably would have been at her house the next day. Are you okay? Just saying. All right, so this is interesting. We're getting a scene with Kiki hanging out with her son. Her son is adorable. Beautiful teeth, beautiful skin, great hair. Shamar is such a handsome young guy. His friend, too. This was a cute scene with Kiki hanging out with them. And then she gets emotional talking about him being away at college. She often have a maid come out there once a month. And he's like, Mom, I'm fine. He seems very together and very polite. I did find it interesting, though, that Kiki said that this was the first time Larsa was meeting her son, her 18, 19-year-old son. I was like, again, it's a reminder that these people say that they're friends, but they are probably like social friends. Like, oh, I would see Larsa out at, swimsuit week. You know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting. But I have to say, Larsa was very welcoming. She was like, oh, hi, you're so big. But he is very tall. So this was nice. They do a little golfing and whatnot. Larsa has a conversation with Kiki about her father, okay? About Kiki's father. And this is where I have to give Larsa credit when due, because we drag Larsa too. Go check our season 6 recaps. We dragged her, okay? But I have to say, these are the moments where I'm like, Larsa might be actually a good friend. I know it seems like she's not, because sometimes she just goes to hell when they annoy her or they insult her. She will go to hell in the comments. But like even here, her advice to Kiki, she was like, don't bring it up like that to him. Just sort of like, because she was trying to have Kiki have the father at Shamar's birthday. And she was like, don't make it seem like you're reminding him. Just say like, oh, I'm going to pick up a cake for Baba Shamar's birthday, that kind of thing. Obviously, when Kiki speaks with her father, she does the complete opposite of what Larsa advised her to do. But I just in that moment, I was like, that's actually good advice. And she actually seemed genuinely concerned for Kiki and wanted to support Kiki. We got to give Larsa credit when credit is due. It honestly, there aren't a lot of times where we can do it. But I felt like in that moment, I was like, that's actually some good advice, Larsa. But okay. All right, so we had that scene. Stephanie and her husband. I thought this was a cute scene because, I said last week, I want to see their dynamic, and we get to see their dynamic. Larsa hung out with them before, and she was like, you're an old lady to Stephanie. She's like, yeah, our dynamic is very different. She's like, I'm an old soul. He's very goofy. And then they show this footage of them hanging out. The footage of them hanging out and having a good time, what I noticed was how that works for them. I was like, this is actually endearing, watching them interact. And then seeing them interact in this business situation. So she's like, I want to see all the apartments. They're walking around all the apartments. And he's like, we cannot go to this particular apartment. Because she says he has a soft spot for animals. Remember, there was a hurricane. So there were some animals that were displaced. Anyone that's an animal lover, it's already going to soften me to him. And the fact that he didn't want to go into this apartment because he had the little dogs in there, that softened my heart to him. Anyone else? And Stephanie can be a little hard. Okay, but that's Scorpio, okay? So they go to the other apartment, and she's like, oh my God, there's dogs in there. And she's a little softy for the dogs because she was wearing white, and she did not mind the dog jumping up on her. She did not stop the dog from jumping up on her. I thought she would have. She didn't. She was, you saw she acted with the Birkin. She's like, Birkins can't get wet. But the dog is jumping up on her, probably very expensive suit, and she's okay with that. But she was very upset, and I would have been upset too. Okay, it's one thing if you're going to keep the dogs here, but someone should be watching the dogs. Someone should be walking the dogs. The dog pooped, probably because he was nervous, on the bed. And then I saw the lady wipe it. No, lady, you need to pull those sheets off. But maybe she was treating it before she pulls the sheets off. Let's hope. I know it's one of the probably like modeled rooms where they just show people the apartment, but still, there's going to be an odor. People that come and visit are going to probably lay down on the bed. I hope she was just treating it before she pulled it off and put it in the laundry. Anyone else notice that? I'm becoming a germaphobe. I don't know about y'all. I mean, I've already was, West Indian parents. But I think as I've gotten older, and especially when I look at New York and I went to Japan and how everything was so clean, and I came back to New York and I was like traumatized. I'm like, I have culture shock from my own culture. And then I see the little rat talk. You ever watch rat talk on TikTok where the rats all over New York City? Take your shoes off when you get home. Take your clothes off because, ew, New York. My city. I love my city to death. But, all right. And then when I see the homeless people laying on the floor, I'm like, no, don't do that. But I get it. You ain't got nowhere to go. It's all right. I've digressed. It's okay. It's okay that I've digressed. So Stephanie and her husband, so they're walking through this property. Now we understood why Masood did not want to go into that apartment. For me, seeing the scene with Masood loving those dogs, maybe at first I was like, why is he acting so weird? Why is he being so grumpy? Anyone else? At first I was like, why is he being so grumpy? I don't like this so far. Even though when they showed the other clips of him when they were hanging out together, him being young and fun and like high energy, I was like, oh, I like that. But in this moment, I was like, why is he acting this way? Only to find out that he was hiding the dogs. And she said he loves animals, and she talked about other moments where he was looking out for animals and whatnot. So that would probably make me fall for him too, Stephanie. So I don't blame you. Okay. All right, Julia and Gertie sit down for a conversation. How did you guys feel about this conversation? I don't feel like they really got anywhere. And basically, based on what we're seeing on social media, they definitely didn't get anywhere, and they probably will revisit this later on. But they do sit down to have a conversation. We do see a flashback where Julia text Gertie an apology. She probably should have called her to apologize. I don't know if Gertie would have picked up. And Julia apologizes via the text message. Gertie tells her that she felt blindsided and backstabbed. I don't blame her because Gertie clearly thought that Julia was a friend. I don't know the level of friendship she thought because Julia, in that moment, they flash back and they show Julia saying, we're acquaintances, not friends. Oh, really? All right. Even Julia's reaction, body language. Do you guys notice that when Gertie arrived? Very dark. Something is off with Julia this season. I don't know what it is. I know a lot of people speculate, oh, she's worried about her job. I don't know if it's even that. There's something just very dark about her body language lately. And I'm just like, especially that she's splashing people. I'm sure she probably will come out with something at the reunion so people can be like, oh, Julia. No, girl. There's no reason for you to be splashing anybody with water. And maybe her reaction is because she's like, they're probably going to keep that in. She's probably thinking ahead, thinking how are the fans are going to react to me splashing Gertie. She's probably in that. That's why she's like, I don't know. I don't know what she's thinking. So her body language already is sort of like weird when Gertie first arrives. So Gertie tells her that she felt blindsided and backstabbed. But then Julia makes it about herself. And she's like, I was hurt that you brought up my facelift. Really? And Gertie basically said to her, I brought that up as a point, first of all, after what you did and what you were saying to me. So she was like, I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to defend myself. And then you were trying to make it seem like we weren't friends. She's like, and she said, as a perfect example of how could I just be an acquaintance if I know that you left out the country to get a facelift? So she said that's that's what she was trying to explain, Gertie. But Julia makes it about like, I was hurt that you brought up that, that I had a facelift. But this was after, right? After Julia splashed her with the water. So for me, all bets are off. You splash me with water, you're lucky I don't go to hell and tell everything about you. Everything. Again, it feels like I don't understand why we're even here or why it even reached that level. And again, remember when we first started the season, it was about that text message. And then Gertie put out the full text message. I don't understand why you basically told Gertie to go find out the news. And you couldn't put, your hands were full. You couldn't tell your friend. Well, according to her, we're acquaintances. Your friend that you are adopting these two black boys. You couldn't stop and just tell her quickly, even though you wrote that long message. Oh, but the news is out there. And then last week, Martina saying that Gertie is attacking. She can be very attacking. These are the microaggressions that people are talking about. How was she attacking? You weren't even there. Your wife splashed her with water. Now, if Gertie splashed her back or threw something upside her head or slapped her, I'm not saying that she should have, but then you could probably say she's attacking, but your wife did it first. But anyway, so I don't know how we get to at the end after they have this conversation. I guess they agreed to sort of like, let's move forward. If anyone asks me about the conversation, we keep the conversation between us. We shall see how long that lasts. Even on Watch What Happens Live, Andy says they get back into the same space that they were at the beginning of the season. Stephanie says that she thinks that Gertie needs to just let it go. We shall see. Maybe we will feel that way by the end of the season. But I can't imagine telling Gertie after someone splashed you the way that she did and looks like she's doing the dirty work for these other women. It would be hard for me to move forward to. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be unkind to you or be mean to you, but we're not going to be friends anymore. For me, that would be where the friendship would have ended. That's for a lot of us. We were like, we're done with Julia. Julia, you can go. So for a lot of the fans, some fans have said they're not watching the show anymore because of that. But some of them that are still watching are sort of like, yeah, I can't be down with this. I'm done. So anyway, so Alexia is at the venue. This is Alexia hosting her second event? We're on episode 5. Okay, Alexia. The space looks beautiful. And she meets up with the weirdo, Daniel. And he's walking her through the space, and he's just sort of like, with the eyes. And I'm like, okay, it's a little weird. Okay. Stephanie on Watch What Happens Live said, yeah, he was giving like a weird energy. Yeah, I see it. So the ladies meet up in the sprinters before they head to this event space. So Marisol's the first one there. Larsa gets there, and she's like, everybody's late and rude. So I'm thinking, what time were they supposed to be there? Because Marisol was already saying that they were late, and everyone else arrived before Lisa did. But they're all waiting for Lisa, and you remember the pet peeve. Stephanie's pet peeve is people that are late. But it's one thing to be 10 minutes late, 30 minutes late, 2 hours late. I hate people that are late. My old college roommate was late for everything. It was like the worst 4 years of my life because I was just like, oh my God, here we go. I was like, can we go? Like, was always late. And I always felt like when people are late like that, they have no respect for other people's time. And that makes me even more annoyed. And I'm usually never late. I'm usually more times than not early, if not right on time or a few minutes early. So, yeah. So they're waiting around, and then they start flashing back. Marisol brings up like, yeah, Monkey's always late, blah, blah, blah. And they show all the different examples, including Andy Cohen being very frustrated with Lisa for being late. She's like, come on, no time for this. And it's just like, and she's just sort of like moving around. But we know Lisa lives in her own world. And I don't think she realized how disrespectful that is. But she also didn't realize that Stephanie was going to call her out. So Lisa finally arrives 2 hours later. I don't know why production waited for Lisa. I don't know why. I believe Lisa said on social media that she told them that they could go, but production waited around. Maybe they were trying to create drama. I don't know. Maybe production told Stephanie to say something because they know it's her pet peeve. I don't know. But I was glad she did. And Lisa was not ready for it. She's like, why are you talking to me like this? You cannot talk to me like this. I appreciate Stephanie saying it because none of the other ladies had the gall to say it. I wish they did. I don't know why they don't. I would say something to someone that was that late, 2 hours late. And let's be real. A lot of these housewives are late. For us, we don't notice it unless it's pointed out. But from what I've heard, a lot of these housewives, not just on Real Housewives of Miami, but in other cities, are late a lot. So Stephanie calling her out, she's like, that's very disrespectful. She's like, if this was my jet, you're 4 minutes late, she'd be watching the plane take away. I agree. Look, I agree. But she calls Lisa out, and Lisa's like not having it. She's like, everyone feels this way. And she's like, oh, so you're the mouthpiece for everyone else? Then Larsa chimes in. She's like, well, I agree. And then she's like, well, you and I are not even talking. Well, she's still hanging out in this group. She still is also waiting with this group for you. And again, I think maybe this would have landed a little bit differently if they didn't show the flashbacks of how many times Lisa has been late and Marisol adding more to it. Like, yeah, she's always late. She's always late. She lives in her own world. She lives in her own world. It's always about Lisa and what's going on with Lisa. This is where I say that Lisa probably is not a good friend. And I'm not saying that I agree with Larsa and Larsa saying that, oh, she needs to unfollow Marcus and they shouldn't be hanging out with Marcus. I'm not even saying any of that stuff. I was already saying, I was like, this is just an indication of the type of friend that Lisa really is. And this lateness is just another indication of Lisa living in her own world. No one else matters but Lisa. That's how I feel. And I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it. But I'm glad Stephanie in her second episode is calling Lisa out for it. Rightfully so. It's not like she was 10 minutes late. If she was 10 minutes late, I could understand. 2 hours late and they're sitting around in a Sprinter. And Larsa brought it up too. She was like, technically, like now we're late for Alexia. Alexia's now waiting for us. 2 hours Alexia's with that strange man, probably like having awkward conversation. Can you imagine? At least they have each other to have conversation with. Alexia's over there with this strange man and doesn't know what to talk about, probably. For 2 hours? It's very disrespectful. And I'm glad someone called her out. Guys, if you had to rate this week's episode of Real Housewives of Miami from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Those last 10 minutes alone gave me more points. I'd probably give it an 8.5, 9. It was a good episode. It kept me entertained. We didn't dwell in too many scenes for too long, so it was kind of easy to kind of move forward. Again, we're not getting a lot of Adriana. It makes me wonder. I'm like, okay, so is Adriana coming back next season, or what happens with Adriana during the season? Look, and I've never been a huge fan of Adriana. However, I'm noticing the absence. We're getting storylines from Marisol. We're getting storylines from Kiki. These are friend ofs of the show. But we're not really getting anything from Adriana. Hence why she had to get a boyfriend. A make-believe one. With cross-eyed. I play. All right, guys, don't forget the Kempire After Dark, the villain era. Come on. Wait, where is it? It's coming to Philadelphia tonight. Get your tickets. You still have time if you're watching this and you're in Philly or South Jersey, or if you're in New York and you got a car, come to the Philadelphia show, because what I say in Philly won't be what I say in New York come September, or Atlanta in August, or DC on August 22nd. So go get your tickets today. The New York City show has a live stream option, so you can watch that from anywhere in the world. More information on the Kempire After Dark. The Villain Era live tour kicks off tonight in Philly. I'm excited for it. Guys, as always, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, be sure to share the video, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. And you can also hear our live recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast. Subscribe today, and don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And shout out to our Spotify community. You can also answer polls and leave comments on the Spotify. All right. Thank you again to our King's Guards, our channel members, and of course our subscribers. And for those of you watching in the bushes, keep watching, like the video. At least do us a favor and do that. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. As always, you can hear Kempire on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. More information can be found on KempireRadio.com.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.